Hello. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Fifth Quarter Fantasy Cast. I'm your host, Coach Veee, and I'm here with my co-host, PeePaw. We are doing the matinee, the midday matinee on Labor Day. When the doctor is away, the old boys will have a really early show so we can go to bed on time.
That's what, and then the other benefit of these matinee shows, they typically discounted, but this is already for free, so it's neither here nor there.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, the matinee, you can get a matinee these days, $5.50, $6.50, and we're still cheaper than a matinee. We're free. So
best of both
that's
worlds.
not bad. That's not bad. So how are you feeling about week 1 fantasy football? What are you thinking? You feel good about your squads?
Okay. Two-sided story here. First part, I just want to give a big shout out to my boy Ricky Pearsall. That dude's on my dynasty team. I've never been more proud to have a dude on my dynasty team as him. He should have been on the God Squad. I apologize. That dude deserves everything. So shout out Ricky Pearsall Jr. You're a legend.
He almost joined the literal God Squad.
Literal. Love the man. Second of all, this is the one week I hate the worst because you don't know what to expect. Some people haven't played yet this preseason. The first couple games are inevitably a little bit rough just because these guys maybe have not played yet this year in the preseason. So it's always a coin toss with who's going to perform, who's not going to perform. You can only hope that you guys you drafted are going to perform. That's kind of how you got to play them. Is you drafted to start them, just throw them in there and see how it goes.
Yeah, that's week 1. I mean, that's the beast that is week 1, and I think the main thing about week 1 is who's those waiver pickups. Like that's what I'm looking at is who's the weird guy that's doing surprisingly well, and they're on waivers for next week. And then it's just fun. Like I love, it's just fun. They're all on. They're spreading it out though with the Thursday night, and then is it Friday night?
Yep.
Now and then we skip to Sunday because they're not stepping on college football's toes.
Correct. But if you're a football fan in general, then you got it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 5 days. What's not to love?
Yeah. But I like the pack it all in on Sunday when there's like 5 games going on at once. Like it's exciting, especially when fantasy and you're like your team's just scoring left. I mean, it can go the other way where you got your whole team's playing and it's just crickets.
And then you just sit there and if you have all your guys playing at 1 o'clock or noon, whatever time it is for you, you sit there and hold your breath after all your guys are finished and you watch your opponent just keep going up points. You just like praise that nothing happened.
Yeah, you're building no buffer. Like
you hope that kicker misses it. Whatever juju you got to do to get that to miss. Week 1 it's always just a crapshoot. I mean, why don't we just throw in a Labor Day game?
Oh God!
It started on a Monday instead of Thursday. Why do we got to wait? Everyone's already off. It's a holiday, anyways.
Well, you saw that's what college football's doing. They're trying to be like NFL because they had the game last night.
Oh yeah.
And then they had the game tonight. So they're like, oh, we'll have our full weekend plus some weekdays of football too, NFL. Watch this.
Yep.
So, I like it when it's all compressed. But, man, it is fun. It's just fun.
It gives me something to look forward to.
Yeah, yeah. And, it's not the devil. It's a good thing. Like,
as some would say.
In my house, my wife says foosball's the devil. And I have to remind her that it's not the devil constantly.
No, so we're on the red zone kick. So wife, she's like, this red zone's awesome now. It only took 2 seasons. She's like, this is the best thing ever. I'm like, oh, I know. So loving the red zone. Can't wait for that to come back. And I get spoiled with no commercials. So, and
oh yeah, it's true.
Be on my butt all day and not do anything. Get all my stuff done in the early morning, jam it all in, and then afternoons slot it out for some football.
Wow, just get some bed sores on your ass from not moving off the couch.
It's a hard job, but someone's got to do
it. Make sure your wife turns you from one cheek to the other occasionally, so you don't develop any bed sores. Run that by her.
Shout out if there's any bed sore powders or things out there that want to sponsor, we're open.
Oh yeah, we should I feel like we could get one of those. Like those are pretty low bottom of the barrel sponsors. We could get those. I'm just thinking.
We don't request much. We'll show you for free too, just to get the ball rolling.
Like a tough actin Tinactin for bed sores. That's what I'm thinking.
It's a good one. I like that.
Okay, so we're going to preview week 1, and we're just going to go through what we think are the juicier matchups. We've got 8 different matchups that we're going to just toss it out there. And remember, next week you'll be able to predict our schedule because we'll be talking. We'll have awards. We'll have everyone's favorite awards, and then we'll have matchups. And we're just going to be rolling with that every week. So we're going week 1, Thursday night. Ravens at Chiefs. That's the evening game on Thursday. Huge rematch from the playoffs. 2 enormous teams. For me, there's 2 things I'm looking at. I'm looking at Derrick Henry. It's our first look at Derrick Henry in-game action with the Ravens. And then Mahomes and Worthy. Is the connection real or is it preseason hype? So what do you think about those 2 topics, Henry and Xavier Mahomes?
I think you hit the nail on the head. Why not Lamar Jackson? Throw him in there.
Right, yeah. I mean, but, we know what to expect from Lamar.
Yeah, we know reasonably what to expect from Mahomes, but you're right. There's so much anticipation surrounding this game with the MVPs and studded athletes that are in this game here. Derrick Henry, I'm interested to see how he will work in that offense with a mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that'll take away from his red zone touches, but I think that'll definitely be interesting to see. I've loved Xavier Worthy. I thought the connection they have is good. We'll see if Rashee Rice, how that balances out with the 2 of them. I still love Rashee Rice for fantasy purposes. Had him last year. Fantastic. I don't think it's going to falter any this season, barring any suspensions or anything. But Xavier Worthy, love the guy. Wish I would have got some more shares of him in some of my drafts, but alas, that time is coming on. So Pacheco, I saw earlier today, I believe Clyde Edwards was put on some illness list, so maybe that opens up more opportunities for him. Got to like what Pacheco did last year, so looking forward to seeing what he does this year. I got shares of him in a couple of my leagues as well, so looking forward to that. And are there any rookies on Baltimore look forward to, or Derrick Henry is pretty much the one guy we don't know much about?
Yeah, no one that I'm like keying in on. I mean, Zay Flowers year 2. I love Zay Flowers, so I like I'm hoping more him. I think he's the feature receiver in this offense, so I hope more action his way. And I believe in Henry. I think Henry's there to help Lamar not have to do so much within the 5-10 yard line, so he doesn't get beat up and destroyed, and we can put that on the big man to score. And then the Chiefs were kind of flat last regular season. They came out, they came out against Detroit last year and lost in the opener and didn't really look that good. Remember the big story, all the drops from the Chiefs receivers and stuff. So will the Chiefs come out more crisp? We'll see. Or do they need to be crisp? They don't care. They win the Super Bowl every year, so they're not your fantasy favorites some weeks because they're focused on winning a Super Bowl, which isn't good for fantasy.
So here's an interesting question from that game. If you are the owner of Isaiah Likely, what do you do with him?
I'm a 100% owner of Isaiah Likely. I have him on every team. I got a lot of belief. I think there's something there. I could get proven really wrong this first game, but like for me, I have Likely, and I also made sure I had someone who could start like immediately, who's a starter. Like, so I'm not starting Likely week 1 because I want to see if he has a role. Is he on the field with Andrews, or is he still just a backup, or is he taking more snaps than Andrews? There's been no indication that Andrews is going away.
No.
Likely super athletic. He has a good connection with Lamar. Andrews gets hurt a lot. So if you're a likely owner, I hope you have another starting tight end. And then this week, Isaiah likely ends up on the field a ton with Andrews, without Andrews. And you're like, oh, shit, I got to get him on my squad. That's what I hope happens this week.
I certainly think that could be a scheme kind of similar to Buffalo, where you start 2 tight ends and you know, between blocking and catching, and I think both the guys have the chance to be productive for that one. So all in all, though, it's star-studded matchup, and I think those are really the only guys on the Ravens you'd even consider starting as Andrews, Lamar, Derrick Henry, and Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
Anyone else is their guess for how they're going to do.
Right. Yeah. Just wait and see. So, all right. Week 1 done Thursday night. Moving on to Friday night. Weird Friday night football, not at your local high school. Packers, sorry, high school football fans, you got to choose. I hope you choose the NFL because that's higher quality football. So,
rack up like 50 points. I love those.
Yeah, and the running back who scores like 9 touchdowns, and it's just like run left touchdown, run right touchdown. He also fields kickoffs and he scores touchdowns on those. That's high school football.
He's also the coach's kid.
Yeah. You're there for the nachos and the hamburgers and to watch this kid like exhaust himself on the field.
I was always there to warm the bench because someone needed to have that role.
And you did a damn good job.
Thank you. Never had anyone say that to me before today, so thank you.
So Friday Night Lights, Packers versus the Eagles. There's some interesting. They had 2 recent developments that I thought would be fun to talk about, which is one, AJ Dillon out for the year. So the perennial spoiler for the Packers backfield is gone.
Yep.
What does that mean for Marshawn Lloyd? I hope it means really good things for Marshawn Lloyd. And then also Jahan Dotson, an Eagle. Does that mean anything? I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about Jahan Dotson and AJ Dillon, Marshawn Lloyd's value?
I think that AJ Dillon definitely shot up everyone who owns Josh Jacobs stock massively.
Yeah.
In our dynasty league we're in, Emmanuel Wilson's out there. I've toyed a little bit of the idea of picking him up. No one's picked him up yet. I think everyone's in the same boat of waiting to see what he does, if anything, and roster spots on your bench are so hot that you hate to drop a guy before the season even starts to pick a guy who might not do anything. So Josh Jacobs stock, I think, definitely goes up some. Before we switch over to the Eagles, though, I just want to go over a couple of the other guys. You got Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs. Were the Packers for real last year at the end of the season?
Mm-hmm.
And they do this again this year. I think week 1 test against the Eagles is definitely going to be a good matchup, but we know that they altered toward the tail end of last season and struggled a good bit. So it'll be a good matchup to see where both these teams are at. And Jahan Dotson, solid 3rd wide receiver on that team. You got 2 arguably number 1 wide receivers in both A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. So what does Jahan Dotson bring to the table? Donkey teeth? Does he have any value? Oh, no. Also Kenny Pickett. In the event that Jalen Hurts goes down, we have a arguably competent quarterback to go in. So we'll also see how that plays out. But interested to hear your thoughts on all of that too.
Yeah, obviously, Josh Jacobs, that helps him a ton. I'm more interested in Marshawn Lloyd, because Jacobs has carried a large workload. They like Lloyd. Now he's the number 2 back. I hope, obviously he's going to get on the field more just because he's the number 2 now. But if Jacobs goes down, we have a rookie running back as number 1. I love that. Don't forget about my boy Dontavian Wicks. I believe in Wicks. So I think for the Packers are kind of like it's similar to the Chiefs' old situation. Which receiver is it? Except with the Chiefs, it was like, oh, it's nobody. with the Packers, it might actually be someone. So I'm hoping week one gives us some data points to help with that. Maybe not. Maybe it's just as confusing as when we came out. And then also I was learning about Christian Watson, who always has the perennial hamstring injury. He went to and he got some work done at one of the university medical centers on his hamstring. One leg was stronger than the other, and then supposedly evened that out. So we'll see. It reminds me of like when you go to the chiropractor and like, your left leg's 9 inches longer than your right leg. No wonder your back's messed up. And it's like, I think I would have noticed if my left leg was that much longer than my right leg. So it's like, is this BS science or is it real? We'll find out. He pulls up with a hamstring in the first quarter. That's usually his thing. And then Dotson on the Eagles, I don't like it. Like I don't like it because I think it's just like it muddies the waters.
Yep.
Because I mean, it seems like It seems like Brown and Smith can't both go off in the same game.
No.
And Brown, Smith, and Donkey Teeth never all go off in the same game. Now we throw in a competent guy at number 3. I think it's just going to be more spread the ball around. And I don't want to spread the ball around, not on this offense, because, I mean, Saquon's going to be eating up so much. I think it's I don't like that pickup for a Dotson owner. Sure, you took a flyer on Dotson, whatever, you're happy. But if you're a Brown or a Smith owner, I don't like it for them. Like, I think it further muddies the waters for those guys.
Yeah, I did have Devonta Smith one year. I've not ever been an AJ Brown owner, but I had Devonta Smith a couple seasons ago, and it was always feast or famine. AJ Brown, Devonta Smith. I mean, It is very rare that both those guys went off at the same time, but hey, maybe this is the year they actually end up doing it. But those feast games are so massive that they both end up being wide receiver ones at the end of the season. So, and if one of those guys gets hurt, that share is just going to go up and up and up and up and up and up and up. So, it definitely muddies the water up. Saquon, what are our expectations for him?
I mean, the sky's the limit. He's going to get goal line work. He's going to get so many passes out of the backfield. I think he's RB 1 to 3 by the end of the year this year. Like, it's just
that's a hot take.
There's just too many opportunities there. Too many opportunities.
You just dropped a bomb right there.
I wish I had a doctor's orders.
I don't think he does not let us play with those titles.
Yeah. He'll sue our asses if we do a doctor's orders. Like,
no one can scribble a signature as good as he can.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's Pack and Eagles. Matchup number 3 is going to be Texans at Colts. So now we're on Sunday, where those 1 p.m. kickoff games are 12 p.m. Kickoffs for all of our Ohio fans, which seems to be the majority of our fan base. So let's make sure we cater to the Eastern time zone there. Or wait, is it 1 p.m. Central?
No, it's 1 p.m. Eastern.
1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central.
Yeah.
Okay. See, it's been a long time since football's happened.
Don't forget our friends over in the Mountain Time and the Pacific Time.
There we go. Yeah, because we're nationwide.
Yeah,
definitely.
We're a family-friendly show here.
So Texans at Colts. I think this could be an explosive start to the year between these two teams. First look at that Texans trio at wide receiver, and then first look at Anthony Richardson, surgically repaired shoulder. This could be really high-flying, high-scoring, a lot of data points to collect. So I think I'm mainly checking out that wide receiver trio. How's it get spread around? And then I want to see if Richardson does gravitate to Mitchell, like I'm guessing. And being a Michael Pittman owner in one league, I'm going to be pissed. But I just got a bad feeling that he's gravitating toward Mitchell. They're just, I don't know. So that's what I'm looking at. Who's Richardson's favorite? and that wide receiver trio. So what do you think about those things?
I'm in the same boat as you on that Michael Pittman owner. Took him in one of my leagues. I looked at Adnan Mitchell in the same league just in case that something happened, different connection, and I'm worried. And Josh Downs is there as well. And when he was healthy last year, he was productive. Can Richardson stay healthy the rest of the season? If not, we got Joe Flacco. We saw what he did last year on the Browns. Extremely competent and still has the ability to be a gunslinger. So Michael Pittman, I have all my hopes that he can continue what he's done over these past couple seasons. But I'm absolutely terrified with Josh Downs and Adnan Mitchell there. And it seems as though Mitchell's had a little bit of production early on in this preseason. That connection's there. I'm a bit worried. We'll be interested really to see what happens as a result of this first game of the season. I don't think he's going to be dethroned by any means of the imagination, but we could end up with another situation just like we talked about the Eagles with Brown and Smith.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then also saw today that Leonard Fournette's going to travel there to test out with the team. So what does that do with the Jonathan Taylor situation also? I was never a fan to begin with, but I'd be interested to hear your take on two running backs in that backfield.
Yeah, I mean, Fournette's kind of the perennial threat to your backfield. This has been going on for maybe 3 years now, where it's oh, Leonard Fournette's in the building. So I'm just going to go with history and say that nothing's happened yet with Leonard Fournette. And so I'm thinking the teams kick the tires on him and realize there's just not much tread there. And so I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't think Jonathan Taylor owners should be too worried about that. Just historically, that's what I'm going off of. And also, I forgot about Mixon with the Texans. I mean, first time wearing a new uniform in the NFL for him. What's that going to look like? Texans got a lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah. I'm the owner of a Tank Dell, a Nico Collins, a CJ Stroud, all in somewhat different leagues. I have a stack of Tank Dell and CJ Stroud in one of my leagues, and is it once again another situation where you have so many mouths to feed? Is who's going to get the ball each week? They were able to do it last year. We saw that when they had Noel Brown was there breaking out. You had Tank Dell, Nico Collins all there, and somehow they still managed to all put up massively productive weeks. So I don't see a reason why that would stop. I definitely think this is going to be probably one of the most entertaining games of the week, to be honest with you. There's so much anticipation with these two teams coming in. I saw Stephon Diggs kind of slip in a couple drafts. I don't know if there's the expectation of what he's going to do this year, or if, like we're talking about, there's too many mouths to feed. Joe Mixon's good out of the backfield catching too. So now that I'm talking about it right now, I love my CJ Stroud pick that I got auto picked for by accident. So I'll pick that about all day long. I think he's going to rack up the yards. And you start your guys on this. I mean, you can almost start every one of these guys in the skill positions on this Texans roster, I think, pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I think week one, you got to throw whoever you got in. And if it doesn't work out, don't get mad. Just it's a data point, because I think you got to believe in whoever you got. If you got Mixon, you got to believe. If you got Dale, you got to believe. Got Diggs, you got to believe. Just do it until you're proven otherwise. These first few weeks, you got to test stuff out. You just got to see what works. So yeah, but should be really fun. That one should just be fun for football. You no fantasy, you just want to sit down and watch football. That should be a fun game to watch, I hope.
But who's also on the Texans?
Can I get a Dale? Yeah, brother.
We couldn't move on from the Texans without that.
No. It just gives us an excuse to play that. But with that, I think we're, like I said, I think this is probably one of the most anticipated games of the week to look forward to watching. And fireworks should be ensuing in September.
So we got next, we have the Titans at the Bears. I think we threw this one in there more so for the Bears than the Titans. the Titans can be interesting. One of my questions is, do you have any belief in any of the Titans? We know Dr. Dry is a pretty big believer in his boy, Mr. Mayo. But as the Bears are definitely, Dr. Dry would tell us the Bears are far more interesting, even though he loves the Mayo man, with with Williams and all the receivers, Dunze and DJ Moore, and Keenan Allen and Cole Kmet, and there's a lot going on here. So it's kind of like the Texans situation: mouths to feed. Do they get fed? So what do you think? Any belief in any Titans? And it's our first look at the Bears. Do you have an inkling who's going to rise to the top week 1?
I think we're going to see plenty of mistakes. Two relatively new quarterbacks. I mean, there's always going to be some issues that arise with these rookie quarterbacks. Even as much talent as they have, still going to have some mess ups here and there. I think the Bears are going to win this game just because their defense alone. Tail end of last year, they were really stout and one of the best defenses in the league. So, and they've only built on it over the offseason too. So I think it's going to be quite an uphill climb for the Titans here in this game. But we know Will Levis loves to sling that ball. Calvin Ridley, Speedy McGee on this team right here. Hopkins, who knows? We know he still got a little bit of talent left in the tank. Tyler Boyd, new acquisition to the team this year. He was competent with Cincinnati. Can he do anything here? I think he's going to be a good compliment to Calvin Ridley. Also interested to hear about Pollard and Spears in the backfield. We've been talking about this quite a bit this preseason. How's that dynamic going to look in actual gameplay when we're not sitting on preseason ball where everyone's still holding cards close to their chest? I'd be interested for your input on Titans before we move on to the Bears. Just haven't touched on them yet.
Yeah, I was just checking to make sure they're still kind of, at least with Hopkins, expected or hopeful to be ready season 1. I think the wide receiver room gets a lot better with Hopkins. And I'm not saying that Hopkins becomes like super fantasy relevant. I think it helps Ridley be more fantasy relevant with Hopkins is out there. I don't mind Ridley. He's cheap in your drafts. If I had to go like Spears or Pollard, I would lean more Spears just because Spears is coming off a much more positive season, whereas Pollard is coming off kind of a negative season. So Spears has momentum. Pollard is trying to regain momentum with the new team. Spears has that continuation with a team, whereas Pollard is new to the squad. So I have a lot of belief in Spears, and I would guess Spears is cheaper in drafts than Pollard. Having not done any redraft leagues this year really sucked because I don't have a good feel on that value, the redraft value for guys.
You've also got the new coaching staff in there.
Yeah.
So
this could be good.
A lot of questions. Bears, Caleb Williams, I don't know if he could have walked into a more prime situation. I bet our boy Justin Fields wishes he walked in this situation.
Yeah.
A little bit different. But arguably, Caleb Williams may be more talented than Justin Fields was. That is only to be seen here. I do like the connection that he has had with Rome Odunze this preseason. I have in our dynasty league, I've got Caleb Williams and Rome. Maybe not Rome, but I know I got Caleb at least. Took a shot on him mid-round. Don't pan out. No big deal on that one. I got other quarterbacks for that purpose if he doesn't work well. DJ Moore came off a good year last year. Keenan Allen, if he can stay healthy, always biggest question with him. If he's healthy, I don't know why he couldn't compete with DJ Moore for that top spot. And maybe these guys just take pressure off each other, and then that leaves more one-on-one situations for Caleb Williams to throw that ball out there. And another guy from the Eagles, they picked up DeAndre Swift for the back. So that'd be an interesting dynamic as well.
Yeah. Swift coming off like a negative year like Pollard, a lot of expectations and then just dud. So hopefully something for him in the backfield. I feel like Moore is like your safest pick in the wide receiver room. Just, Allen with the health. Odunze's a rookie. Moore's seems to be a good one, but Odunze's got, I think, more upside than Moore. Because Moore, he finished well last year, but remember, he had the same game. Like
I believe he had a couple of games that were really good.
Yeah.
He finished, let's see here, wide receiver, at least wide receiver 5, or I guess 6, 4 times last year.
Yeah.
So pretty decent. I mean, the one game he finished wide receiver 2 and he had 49 points. So,
Right.
any other week that'd be wide receiver 1 in the year. So that was a game you definitely go off on. But he had a couple other plus 20 point games.
Yeah.
I'd be absolutely thrilled with from wide receiver. So, to echo what you just said, though, I think that's probably the best is safest is going to be DJ Moore on that squad. But a lot of potential, a lot of upside. Another game. We just don't know what to expect, so it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. So before we move on to our 5th matchup in week 1, we have a new commercial. It's an old sponsor with a new commercial. And so I hope you're in the need for a new automobile, maybe, because we have a little ad here. So yeah.
Did I hear I heard an advertisement on the radio for this as well. Wait, maybe we got it here.
Hey folks, Ken Pilgrim here for the Ken Pilgrim Chevrolet 1999 push pull drag sale. That's right, we're trading in all Chevys for $19,999. You come on in, you push pull drag your ass on in here, we'll trade it in for $19,999. You got a 1989 Chevrolet, push pull drag that shit up in here for $19,999. You got a 1999 Chevrolet, push pull drag that up in here for $19,999. That's right, Ken Pilgrim here for Ken Pilgrim Chevrolet down on Ken Pilgrim Boulevard in Smyrna, Tennessee. Come on in, grab yourself a handful of check picks, have a good ass day.
I think
All right.
the American Picker boys are going to go find themselves some really old vehicles that don't run and bring them into that Ken Pilgrim Chevrolet, get $19,999.
I mean, Ken is taking anything over there. So
he's a needy man.
That's astonishing. I mean, I might just drag a rust bucket off the side of the road if I can walk away with $20,000. Like, I could go rent a trailer from Home Depot and still have a nice profit margin on that.
I'd be interested to see the fine print where if it has to be running or not. If it doesn't have to be running, we'll, as he says, push, pull, drag that in here. So
yeah, and we got to talk to Ken about the language a little bit, but he did a pretty good job. He censored himself a few times, but
he's a marketing man. He can't stop.
When he gets going, I think it just comes out. He doesn't mean to be vulgar; it just happens. So
that's what I expect out of a good car salesman.
But thanks to Ken. Thanks, Ken, for popping that in there, and thanks for supporting the show. This keeps us in business. That's what we need. So yeah. So week 1 matchup number 5, Raiders at the Chargers. So this one's fun. I thought it was interesting. We got a couple Georgia rookies going at it here. So I thought it'd be interesting to maybe ask who you have a better feel for, Bowers or McConkey. I thought that would be interesting. And then it's our first look at the Harbaugh Chargers. So what do you think about those two things?
You coming out with the hard-hitting questions here, my man. All right. Herbert, I definitely think he's got the leg up in the quarterback room between the two. So I think that lends a little bit of favoritism towards Lab McConkey.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the God Squad. Maybe not week 1, but he's going to be on there by the end of the season. Mark my word on that one. Wide receiver room, you got Josh Palmer and DJ Chark rounding out. Running back room, Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. I think they've got a little bit of the edge here as far as overall talent is concerned on that squad. It's probably going to lend a hand to them being able to pass the ball a little bit more. But as a tight end, you tend to get a lot of those shorter passes that are your dink and dunk, and love that for PPR. And he was arguably one of the better picks as far as the draft class was concerned for this season, and a lot of expectations coming out for him. They do have 2 tight ends now, the rookie from last year as well as him now this year for the Raiders. So once again, we got another team that is going to be operating 2 tight ends. How is that going to pan out? That's my concern. It's not like wide receivers where you typically run 3 on the field, 2 or 3 on the field at one time. Tight ends, someone's going to be blocking, maybe someone's going to be out running, maybe they both block. As far as tight ends are concerned, I give them a tight end 13 this week.
Okay.
And Ladd, wide receiver 26.
All right. Put that down. Someone write that down.
I think I'm going to give a slight edge to Ladd on this one. Excellent question, though, for who I think will perform better. Obviously, different positions, so it's tough to compare apples to apples. But both guys that come in with high talent and should add quite a bit to both of these organizations. You've also got Devontae Adams, which I believe may have some kind of I don't know if he's got issues with attending practice or what's going on with him. So if he doesn't play, I think your Brock Bowers stock goes up tremendously. So keep watch on that one, and I would throw Brock Bowers in there if in the event that Devontae Adams is playing. But if you drafted Brock Bowers as your starting tight end, by all means start him. And we know Gardner Minshew, gunslinger himself, loves airing that ball out, so that's good for everyone involved. And you got him to be your tight end, got him to be a wide receiver, play him. Unless you got some better option that is a bona fide wide receiver 1 and a proven commodity. But rookie's always tough to predict, but that's my hot take.
Nice. Yeah. Minshew's a guy who can feed a lot of fantasy talent. He can, I wish Gardner Minshew was playing in, I don't know. I wish Gardner Minshew was the Eagles quarterback, right? Like I would not worry about any of the receivers or the tight end because with that much talent, everyone would just have a day. But yeah, so I like Gardner Minshew back there throwing the ball. I think early McConkey looks better. And then I think when we pull back full fantasy season, Bowers actually has the better season relative to his position. I think there's going to be a slow kind of build up for him. But I think it's kind of like I think it's going to be Kincaid-like, but faster acceleration and higher ceiling early. Also, Zamir White is in a Tony Pollard situation from last year. Like it didn't go well for Tony Pollard. I hope it goes better for White. A lot of people really believe in Zamir White. Clear-cut RB1, and he's not that expensive either in your fantasy draft. So yeah, you could be feeling pretty good about yourself. And then I know we talked about Harbaugh likes to run the ball. He's kind of changed that team's personality to fit his style. Does that hurt fantasy values? No one loves J.K. Dobbins. We love the guy, like the person. We feel bad for him, but like fantasy-wise, he's just been frustrating in the Gus bus. So yeah. I don't see the Chargers being real explosive. I see them winning football games.
Mm-hmm.
I see the Raiders playing behind a lot this year and really scoring some fantasy points. Maybe not winning many football games, but scoring a lot of fantasy points.
I love what they're doing with their coaching regime.
Yeah.
With last season, watching the receiver documentary, it was clear. I mean, these guys bought into this coaching staff and loved the organization after it kind of got flipped over. So I'm expecting some big things out of the Raiders this year and massive leap and bound forward, which perhaps maybe one of our, if he's not picked up yet, Jacoby Myers, maybe in some leagues. Maybe he's a guy to look at before this week 1 even starts and get a head start on some of your other guys that may be sleeping on him, thinking that the Raiders aren't much of anything for a team. They've also got in their wide receiver room, the wide receiver 3 of Trey Tucker. Another possibility, just dark horse. He's only currently 4% rostered. So if we're going to have Gardner Minshew feeding Miles, why not Trey Tucker?
Okay, you heard it here first. Trey Tucker, TT. All right, so matchup number 7, we got, or 6? Matchup number 6, we got Commanders at the Bucks, afternoon game on Sunday. 2 things. Do we believe in Jaden Daniels? A lot of RG3 talk, RG3 rookie season talk, which, hey, if we can get a piece of that, that's amazing.
For fantasy, love it.
And then I was just going to talk about, like, on Tampa, I really like McMillan, the wide receiver 3-ish there. He's rookie. I think he's had a great preseason. He's had a good connection with Baker the Babymaker. It's our first Baker the Babymaker drop of 2024 season. Let's start counting those. I didn't invent Baker the Babymaker. I just love to say it because it just just pops off your tongue. But I think McMillan could overtake Godwin, not as a roster spot, but as a production. Like when we pull back and look at production, I think McMillan's going to be more productive than Godwin at the end of the year. And then if there's some sort of injury ahead of him, then we're looking at like McMillan having a really big year. So I think he's my dark horse. You want to talk about a dark horse? That's my dark horse with the Bucks.
I'm sticking with TT.
What's that?
I'm sticking with TT, Trey Turner.
Yeah, TT, your boy TT.
Right.
So what do you think about Daniels and Washington? And it's really a very similar team with Tampa, so not a lot of change there from this year to last year.
No, not too much going on there. Keep a lot of the. It seemed like every team has swapped up massively this offseason, but Washington, as we were talking about Jahan Dotson earlier, you lose I don't want to say a key part of the offense, but you lose a mouth, and that only increases the stock for Scary Terry McLaurin. I bought him in one of my leagues, and I'm so far happy with that. I got him mid to late, and he's on a team that no one's really thinking much about right now. But I'm just reflecting on all these matches we talked about. There's so many good anticipating matchups. We don't know what to expect on these. Yet another one, just Jane Daniels. What are we going to see with this rookie quarterback come out? He's got, like you mentioned, throwbacks to these other quarterbacks that were mobile, had a good arm, agile, good on his feet, good thinking, memory process. Good football dude. Also the whitest teeth in the league. So
you were also halfway through a Remember the Titans speech there. You were like, mobile, agile.
I'm glad you caught that.
Yeah.
We've also got Luke McCaffrey, which I know not many people hype on for him. I got him on the Dynasty League, sitting on the taxi squad right now. Who knows if he's going to be able to produce anything.
Some people say the more talented McCaffrey.
And really?
And you can pretty much say anything you want if you just preface it with some people say.
Rumor has it. I heard from a friend. But you're right. It's just the unknown. It's going to be tough. I'm going to give the edge to the Commanders in this game.
Yeah.
A little bit better overall, I think. Talent. You do have Mike Evans returning again for old man over 30.
Yeah.
But every year he puts up those 1,000-yard seasons. So who's to say this won't be another year for it? Rashad White, backfield, I have him in a couple of our leagues, and unfortunately, my running back rooms are too good that he's sitting on my bench in one of my leagues. So I'm like, what do I do? But I give a little bit of the edge there to the Commanders in this game. That's my hot take for that game. But once again, what are we going to see? Anticipation.
Yeah. I hope the Commanders have a good year. I hope Daniel stays healthy because I think healthy, he's better than Caleb Williams, but he's not as durable as Caleb. Caleb Williams can take a shot. I don't think Daniels can take many NFL hits, even with all the protections to the quarterback.
He did play in the SEC though, so that says something.
He was hurt a lot. Like he would play hurt a lot. Like in the SEC. Like he would
Yeah.
literally like limp onto the field and throw the ball. He's tough, but he's not
But you need that.
effective if he can't run.
I don't know.
I mean,
Matthew Stafford has done that plenty of times, and he still ended up just fine. So, hey, maybe it's Matthew Stafford 2.0, but more agile, athletic.
wow.
We'll see.
Hopefully hostile.
Oh, we'll see at the end of the year. Someone better be writing all these predictions down.
Yeah.
Get on.
So week 1 matchup number 7, we have the Rams at Lions. I know you've been looking forward to talking about this one. So this is the Sunday night matchup on NBC/Peacock/ whatever streaming service has exclusive rights to your football, and you can't watch it without it. or there's other ways to obtain football. So just saying.
We don't condone those activities, but they're all.
We definitely don't condone those activities, and we don't even know what they are. We just heard from people that there are other ways to watch football without a streaming service. So
I've heard from the sources.
So for the Rams and Lions, more Lions, all the Lions. I don't see anything wrong with the Lions anywhere. I've already talked about Jameson Williams and the big year I think he's going to have. And then for the Rams, since our last podcast, Kyron on kickoffs. And does that mean something?
That's scary.
Everyone just essentially was like, "Oh, Blake Corum to the moon." But maybe he's just like that high school running back who puts up 5 touchdowns. He's going to do the kickoffs. He's going to start running back. They're just going with a high school approach, and it doesn't really mean that much for Corum. So, Kyron on kickoffs, and any Lions thoughts you want to throw out there?
As a Kyron owner in one of my leagues, that's a little terrifying.
Yeah.
I never like a dude playing kick return. Obviously, we have the new kickoff rules this year with the hopefully reduce the injuries, and really do hope that does. Those are some pretty bad injuries that happen on these kickoffs. So, assuming he stays healthy as a result of this, it is what it is type deal. But continue what he did last year. Stafford, I mean, just like we talked about the Bucs, it's the same as last year, same squad. I love what the NFL scheduling people did with. They know what they were doing with making this rematch from the playoffs last year, and that really good close game where the Lions ended up winning. So once again in Detroit for this, Detroit's another team that remains pretty similar for the skill positions from last season. Guys probably hopefully took a step forward. We're looking at Jameson Williams, and question is, Gibbs has had a little bit of concern. I believe Laporta maybe also hamstrings or maybe some other potential issues. Does that worry you at all heading into this game, or are you still throwing him in there?
I'm playing them, but I am worried about it, like long term. I think that's the only thing that can slip the Lions up is injuries to their key players. I don't know how deep they are at running back. I think Montgomery will, take the lead and be fine. But losing Laporta would be a really big deal for them. They really leaned on him in the red zone to move the chains. He was huge, and I don't know what their backup tight end situation is like, but I don't know if it's Laporta level.
No, the guy named Brock Wright. The year before Laporta came in, he started gaining a little bit of traction on the team, and he's a decent tight end. He's not your Laporta-esque tight end, but he's serviceable by all means of the imagination.
And I'm just thinking with the Lions, like, do they have some new wrinkles to show?
Mm-hmm.
They had a great year last year, but teams have had a year to kind of see all that. Do they have new wrinkles? Also, with Kyron on kickoffs, I hope people's teams have kickoff or return yards for fantasy points, because that could really suck. You got a guy getting beat up on the kickoffs, and he's not even getting anything for it.
Yep,
it could really suck.
That is the worry on that one. I do know one thing: Lions are still going to go for it on 4th down every single time. So
that.
keep as a as a fan, you love to see that. You're like, that's my dude. I wish I was in your position and couldn't get fired. That's awesome.
It's great. I love that the NFL has changed into that. Like, that's just perfect.
From a fan's perspective, it is the best thing ever. And if you need that extra yard from your running back to beat your opponent, love it. The extra like oomph, like I can do this.
So our last matchup of the day is Jets at 49ers, the Monday night matchup. Are they doing 2 Monday night games? Is this or did they get rid of that?
It's the only one. I don't know if they're doing.
Okay.
I'm sure
I hope they stop that. Like that was weird.
It's
Yeah.
the half-hour difference between the starts, and you have to decide which one to watch, and you can't have them both at the same time. It's a conundrum and a half.
So I think like Bears, Titans, the Jets are on this list. Well, the Jets are on this list because of Rodgers, and we're interested in the Niners. A lot more fantasy stuff for the Niners, and some intrigue. But with the Jets, are you a Rodgers believer? Because if you're a Rodgers believer, then you're a Garrett Wilson believer, and
Absolutely.
you're a what's his face believer.
Breece Hall?
Yeah, you're a Breece Hall believer. Well, maybe you can be a Breece Hall believer without being an Aaron Rodgers believer, but it didn't. I don't know. It wasn't great for him to have just nothing at quarterback last year. It was good, but it could have been better if he'd had a good quarterback. And so there's that going on. And then the Niners, very similar team from last year. I think, Brandon Ayuk not playing any football, not hardly practicing. Does he come out slow to start the year? Would you start Ayuk? I guess would you? I know people are going to start Ayuk. Would you be confident in your Ayuk start? Are you worried about Ayuk start? And
the problem with
that stuff.
Ayuk is where you drafted him. You drafted him in one of the probably first 5 rounds, so you drafted him to start him.
Yeah,
I can't see people not starting him. The other guy on the Jets, Malachi Corley, rookie, Western Kentucky, fantastic in college. So, in turn, I'm assuming Rodgers plays more than 4 snaps this season.
Yeah.
Who is not to love this situation that the Jets are in? I mean, if you have a quarterback that knows what he's doing, just the football knowledge is off the charts. I mean, probably now that Brady's out of the league, Aaron Rodgers is probably one of the best ones as far as football knowledge is concerned. So, I would love to see Garrett Wilson finally be what he should be and be that top dude in the league, wide receiver 2, 3, be in the same conversation as the guys of Jefferson and Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb. So we don't hope for injuries unless your dude you're playing someone that has a guy that needs to get playing. That's besides the fact. But like Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams is also a new Jet. Once again, dude full of injuries. I don't think he's going to stay healthy a full season yet again. Malachi Corley, I think he has a chance to surprise some people. Maybe someone to put on your radar to look at picking up for week 1 waivers. The 49ers, where can I get a job where I don't have to show up to work and still get paid? Because that would be cool. I wish I had that job. But yeah, that is a bit worrisome. There's going to be some rust there. Week 1 typically is full of rust, though. So, how bad is it going to be? I think. And who's that DB for Sauce Gardner? Who's he going to be on? Is he going to be on Debo? You can't guard all the weapons that San Francisco has. I think they're too talented to lose this game. But you're starting some of these leagues I was drafting in. Brock Purdy went as people's second quarterback. Look at potentially starting him this game. I mean, you have all these weapons. He finished as quarterback 6 last year. He was one of my God Squad guys. He's a dude that's going to capitalize over top of his ADP. You have too much talent on that offensive line to not put up points. So I definitely think the 49ers probably get the edge in this match, but all your guys you drafted to start, you got to start them. And Jets, would you start Rodgers?
Oof. I would. I think I'm a Rodgers believer. Like I think he's gonna have it. I think he's gonna have a good year. Maybe this is his last good year ever, but I think he's gonna have a good year.
The other interesting thing about this game is arguably 2 top 5 defenses.
Yeah.
So it's going to put these offenses to definitely a challenge when you got these
Mhm.
starter defenses going at it. Once again, just a prime matchup here on Monday night and end of all the anticipation and what's going to happen with this new season. Does Rodgers still have it? But
Yeah, a lot of
Week 1
fantasy
is good.
matchups might get decided Monday night with
Mhm.
Kittle and CMC and Ayuk and Debo and Purdy and Rodgers and
Garrett
Wilson and Hall and like
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's lead is safe going into Monday unless you've got a hell of a lot of points up on your opponent because there's just a lot of fantasy talent, which kind of sucks. I hate like it being in doubt by Monday night. I want to go to
Right.
bed and just sleep soundly. So that's rough. But yeah, a lot of fantasy talent Monday night. So there you go.
I just want to throw it out there for those people who aren't kicker truthers. Who doesn't love when your kicker goes up to kick a 50-yarder and then you're down by 5 points and then he nails that, you tie it and then win? Oh,
All of a sudden, you become a kicker guy.
It just takes one. I mean, I can't be the only one out there that loves them.
I guess that's never happened for me. That's why I stayed not a kicker guy.
My wish for you is to have that happen this year.
I couldn't tell you who my kicker is in any of my teams.
You don't have to. You don't have to know their names. You don't have to on a first name basis. All that matters is it happens and you're blessed.
Okay, so that's week 1 preview in the books. We will be back with you next week with a lot of data and information about what happened and anger or excitement, who knows. But I hope everyone enjoys the week 1. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. And yeah, so 5 things on the way out the door. Don't forget to do them. Let's get to 44 subscribers, for God's sakes. We're going to live, laugh, love, like, and subscribe. 5th Quarter Fantasy Cast.